What it do, anime crew? Hey man, listen, today I'm going to be doing a Patreon rant. If you guys want your own rant for some strange reason, $5 a month on Patreon. This one is for Funky Boy Haas, who asked me to rant about Take Me Back to Eden, which is an album by Sleep Token. Now, I didn't know what to expect going into this because I know people who really like Sleep Token, and then I also know people who cite it as like one of the main reasons that they're depressed right now. Like it just makes them want to kill themselves that much, which is gotta be obviously a bit of a overreaction. But yeah, I've heard a lot of comparisons to like Imagine Dragons and stuff. And as a side note, I get it. Imagine Dragons fucking sucks, but y'all gotta go listen to Night Visions, man. When I was in fourth grade, Night Visions was my favorite album in the world, and I haven't really revisited it since, but I bet that shit still bangs. As far as this album goes, though, shockingly enough, I found myself somewhere in the middle of loving it and hating it because, well, I guess I'll just get into the thing that surprised me most right away, which isn't actually about the music itself, but for some reason I ran into like 6 comments. I was talking about earlier how people are like, bro, this shit got me depressed, bro. I hate Sleep Talk. I can't stand that it's popular. All that stuff. Dude, there were 2 different comments about people being like, I was on death's door about to commit suicide in my living room. And then Sleep Token came on, and I was like, and when I say it like that, it sounds like it's a joke, but they were genuinely, ostensibly sincere comments. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, man, no matter how much I don't like it, I mean, clearly it's doing some good for the world. It's definitely like a band that's exploded in popularity recently because I had never heard of them, and then all of a sudden I just started hearing about them constantly, left and right, good and bad. And all publicity is good publicity at the end of the day. Their style is definitely very unique. It's sort of a fusion of, I mean, I don't know that much about music, but it seems to be a fusion of a lot of different genres. There's obviously metal elements, and then there's like a poppier elements, even stuff of like hip hop, for sure. Maybe like funk, I think. I don't really know my music terminology very well. I'm literally such a noob when it comes to this shit. I listen to like ERBs and stuff, but it's interesting. They go for a lot of different sounds, which sort of fits the tone of this album as a concept album. I think it's just a chronicling of a horrible relationship that the main guy eventually has to let go of, due to the fact that, wow, there's so much talk of suicide in this rant. At some point, it seems the girl tries to like commit suicide, and she comes to him all bloody, and he's like, all right, it has to stop. Which is obviously very serious. But, I mean, real ones know I can pretty directly relate to that. I've unfortunately been in a bit of a similar position, though that one was really no fault of my own. It was just sort of like that to begin with, and I was like immature enough to think that I could be enough of a positive influence in that girl's life to where I could like fix her or whatever. Stupid shit. But yeah, this seems to be a little bit more of a tempestuous dynamic in and of itself, as opposed to anything else. It's just like a fundamental incompatibility, which makes it that their relationship would have never worked out in the first place, despite the extremely salient highs that it provided. There's, like I said, this band switches genres a lot, so it'll go into a totally different vibe when it's having uplifting segments of their relationship, and it's describing all the good times and all that stuff. And then when it goes darker, it'll go into like maybe a little bit more of like a metal breakdown, or the lyrics will get a little bit more vivid, and there are some pretty literary lines on here that I definitely appreciate. There's one like, I'll take a pound of flesh out of you before you take a piece out of my pay stub, I think was the tenor of the line. I thought that was pretty cool. But overall, I can't say the album left an overly like strong impression on me. It was cool. It was neat. There was some stuff going on, but I guess I wasn't like super bought into the main relationship and narrative, because it just, I don't know, it just kind of felt like they were bad for each other from the start, and I don't know. I've been thinking lately that maybe I just have a blind spot in terms of my life when I'm giving advice to my real life friends or when I'm analyzing media or trying to make sense of different character dynamics. I think I have a little bit of a blind spot when it comes to relationships because I'm so inexperienced. My relationships have all been so comically short, and I've only had a handful of them, enough to count on one hand comfortably. I don't know. It's one of those things where maybe I just don't understand that sort of toxic paradoxical dynamic that's held together by a chemical bond that just feels unbreakable and prevents all logic from reaching your brain. Like I know people have been in love and bro, it drives them crazy. They don't know what to do with themselves. So it kind of makes sense that I don't know, maybe that a relationship would get to the point that it gets in this album, and that's one of the things that had me thinking about over the runtime. So overall, it was alright. It had me thinking about some interesting stuff. I'm really glad it's had the positive effect it's clearly had on the fans who have not committed suicide for it. It did not make me want to die, but also I didn't love it. I can kind of see where the Imagine Dragons comparisons are coming from, but yeah. Go listen to Night Visions, everybody. Okay, and as a quick addendum to this rant, I forgot to mention this because I was just looking into it. But the presentation and like the theatrics of this band is definitely very interesting. They have these like insane costumes. The main guy's like all blacked out, and they're all wearing masks, and some of them go by like Roman numerals, and the stage performances seem like extremely dramatic and captivating, and I think that might be actually a really big part of the appeal of this band for the people who love it. So I wanted to point out the fact that I did actually take note of that. And all right, yeah, y'all have a good one.